everyone. Welcome back to my speech. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my presentation. So, today is the last speech of this semester. So, I would love to talk about Emma Watson's and her speech as a representation for feminist voice. So, first, I want to give you an overview about what I'm going to talk about today. First, I'm going to introduce Emma Watson's and her feminist role. Then, I'm going to analyze her speech. And then, I'm going to talk about the social impact that her speech bring to the society on gender inequality issues. And finally, I'm gonna give you a conclusion. So now we're gonna talk about Emma Watson. So she's famous because of Harry Potter. She's an English actor, a model, and also an activist. So she received a lot of recognition, like blockbuster and indie films. She has been ranked by Fox and Vanity Fair, and she also a Goodwill ambassador for UN Women's in 2015. And because of becoming an ambassador, she helped start the He for She movement for UN Women. And by doing this compare, she was named to a G7 Women's Rights Advisory Body, consulting with foreign policy figures in 2019. So yeah, that's about her and her activism. And I want to give you also some point about her speech. So on Saturday, September 2014, Washington gave a wise, relevant, and moving speech on gender discrimination and how to combat it. And she gave the speech to launch the Compare He for She for UN Women. And within this speech, she made a very important argument that negative and damaging assumption about masculinity must shift in order to attain gender equality. So now we're gonna go to analyze her speech. So first, I want to talk about the speech subject. So obviously, talk about gender discrimination, gender disparities is the main subject of the he for she expression, the speech of Emma Watson. So talking about this subject, Emma Watson explored and examined topics such as feminism, conventional gender norms, and women's rights. And by doing this speech, she aims to educate the public about the problem of gender discrimination and feminism. And then she tried to convince and attract people to join her and make a change. And so after I talk about the subject, now here's how Emma Watson did her speech. She started her speech by recalling her experience of growing up in the public eye that engaged the viewer in detail her first meeting with gender influence inequalities. And she said that during the growing up journey, she witnessed being sexualized by certain elements of the media. And more importantly, her friends, her girlfriends, started dropping out the sport teams because they don't want to look masculine. And her male friends were not able to express their feelings because it's too feminine for them to do that. And growing up like that, Emma Watson said she understood her roles as a feminist, but she was also be labeled as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-man. And she also said, like, I was being taught I'm not I'm not attractive even. So moving from the childhood experience, Watson continued to consider the representation of women and their role in the revolution. And she said, it's the thing that she thinks is right. And after express her idea about gender discrimination, about women's roles, she invited people to help her to make a change by ensuring that each person plays an important role to illustrate these incidents to help the viewer to understand the true thought and trace of gender discrimination. So that is how she did her speech. The overview of her speech is that First, she discussed the participation of women in the feminism movement. Then she pointed out her motivation for being a feminist from her childhood experience and clearly referencing the individual impact. Yes. And finally, she explained the magnitude of its ramification, evoking a feeling to the audience that we, as a human being, must take action for a chance of gender inequality. So from that, her speech make a really huge social impacts. First, Emma Watson dominated the attention of the crowd with a deep sense of recognition for the affinity that would bring us together as equals. Because he said that, I am reaching out to you because I need your help. We need to end gender inequality. And to do that, we need everyone involved. So that's the first social impact. The second social impact was that through this speech, Emma Watson proceeded to encourage men to participate in fighting for women's rights. Without them, she said, how can we change in the world when only half of it is invited or feel welcome to participate in the conversation? So she supports the idea that men should be a feminist as well to support the gender equality. And the last social impact that I explore in her speech is that she takes time to directly discuss gender differences between society around the world and highlight that gender gaps is global, not just local. So after the social impact of Emma Watson's speech, I would love to give you a conclusion. With this speech, Emma Watson successfully emphasized the role of feminism, and she gives the audience the sense that they are welcome to fight for women, for feminists, for the gender equality, to go against gender discrimination. That's the reason why this speech created huge social impact and inspiration. That is my speech about Emma Watson's speech for he for she compare for UN women. Thank you for listening. I hope this speech will be helpful for you and inspire you in some aspect. Bye.